This is SSN.
Story Studio Network.
Hi, I'm Dean Gation, and this is the Powerful Connections podcast. For over 40 years, I've been involved in planning and building high-voltage projects. My company, DGG5 Advising, is the opportunity maker you need for your energy and construction projects. My guests and I are going to share our experiences and how we have brought projects to successful completion. My guest today is Brendon Fenton. Brendon, welcome to Powerful Connections. Brendon is the Vice President of PowerNorth Utility Contractors, Inc. in Whitefish, Ontario, west side of Sudbury. Brendon started as a power line contracting business with his partner, Nick. Both are very good journey person line workers, have been in the business for a while, lots of experience with all aspects of high voltage industry and very good at risk management, project planning, and execution. So today we're going to get into a bit of a discussion about execution of projects and how to handle scopes of work when you get into a job. All the items of providing high voltage services come down to the execution and the performance of work. You are held to a high standard of safety and quality and environmental management. Your vehicles and equipment are subject to numerous regulations and standards. Your employees are held to a high standard of levels of skills and knowledge and expertise to perform at a high level. And your business is held to best management practices, codes, and standards. This is a big dashboard to manage. You do it with a smile and level of energy that customers want you and your PowerNorth business to repeat over and over. The presence and confidence to execute has a big trail to travel, to be given the opportunity to perform. So first of all, I have to catch my breath after that opening statement, but we have been discussing all these things required to plan, create strategy, do risk review, risk mitigation, organize the structure of partnerships or projects, and then develop a project. But now we need to get to the proverbial boots on the ground. So Brendon, where do you begin in the review of all the items you need to do to get an award or even a start date from a customer?
Firstly, thanks for having me on the Powerful Connections podcast. I really appreciate the invitation to be here. A lot of work goes into our program well in advance of seeing any kind of RFPs or tenders. Just, having our team prepared for any circumstance that's coming down the pipe, having our equipment ready to roll, lacking any better terms, at the drop of a hat with the stance of an emergency call or an upcoming project, just having that preparation in front of us all the time. We maintain several relationships with different subcontractors all over the place that we leverage all the time, depending on where the work is located. So there's many things that go into it before we get an award or a start date.
In order to execute a project, you need to understand and know the scope of work the customer has asked you to undertake. Let's chat quickly about how you get through these items.
Truly understanding the scope of work, whether it be through the RFP or tender process, or whether it's after final award, asking the right questions, being able to get eyes on the project locations if possible, reviewing the detailed design packages if they exist at that time, and just having a good understanding of what the end goal and expectations of each of the different clients are. You need to review all the project plans to make sure that that you're aligned with exactly what they're expecting to see.
So what do you think your biggest efforts are in that alignment? Are you working a lot of conversations with customers, keeping up with the meetings? Where do you feel that aligning the resources works best for you?
That's exactly it. It's just keeping that communication channel open with all the customers, making sure we have a clear understanding of what the expectation is so that we can deliver our highest quality service.
So the customers selected you in the competitive part of this journey. What are the items you plan for when a customer is issuing an award to PowerNorth?
It varies with each project, but I mean, to give it kind of a standard preparation, we would ultimately review any kind of, final designs that may have been issued. We would go through our contract negotiations with everybody in anticipation of a letter of award or a letter of intent to award. We would begin to negotiate any items within the contract that require any type of negotiation. Ultimately, we would be submitting all of our final documents, any plans that we developed in the means that we're going to execute the project safely, providing some background information on any of the resources that we're going to be applying to the project to execute the different scopes. We would then ultimately be issuing any kind of securities, bonds, or guarantees that are required, depending on the contract. We would also then be looking for, ultimately in the end of all this, we'd be looking for a notice to proceed, which would be kind of our green light indicator that we have permissions to have boots physically on the ground executing the works.
One of the expansions on that thought of notice to proceed, people don't understand the importance of it. You need permission to go on somebody's property, and there needs to be some sort of indication that you've been invited to come. How do you handle that with a customer that's probably learning that process or doesn't understand the importance to you to get permission to go there, to get them to give you a notice to proceed? What do you do with them?
You know, a lot of the time it's really just it's a checkpoint for both PowerNorth and for the respective customer. It gives everybody a kind of refresh look at all the pre-construction documents that need to be in place before we physically apply any resources to the job. It's a good refresh. It offers an excellent opportunity for PowerNorth to communicate with the clients to ensure that we have everything in place and that they are comfortable with our plan and our approach and our resources that are going to be executing their work. It's different environments for each project. Sometimes you're in the middle of the bush building a brand new transmission line. Other scenarios, we're upgrading live infrastructure for a variety of utilities. So really making sure that those details are ironed out in advance of having anybody go there just offers a good feeling for the customer and for PowerNorth. And it offers that extra layer of safety for everybody because we've gone through the process of analyzing the work and developing and constructing our plans on how we're actually going to execute the different tasks.
Good. So this is the administrative part of what can be the most impact on the outcome. There are many, many preparations underway, but now you have the next step, and that's the project kickoff. It's kind of the time to go. So what are your most critical items you plan for and organize, and some of the benefits of them?
Ultimately, upon notice to proceed, we'll go through an extensive review process with our senior construction leadership who are going to be, physically on site executing that work. We go through one end of the job to the other, all the expectations, some of which may be unique to a specific client to ensure that they understand what's expected of them as they're showing up on site. We spend the time to go out to the project location with the supervisors, sometimes even the crew members, and make sure that they understand the lay of the land and they have a good sense of where they are and what the end goal is. We make sure that everybody's very comfortable with the crew that's been assigned to the project, along with all the equipment. Any new equipment that may be introduced, we're ensuring that everybody's adequately trained and competent and able to operate all those different pieces of equipment that are coming to site. And reviewing any of the preliminary project documents that we would have submitted in advance of the potential award, making sure that they understand fully what the expectations were and what PowerNorth said that we were able to and going to do throughout the construction of the project.
It's amazing how you write something or say something and it sticks with the customer, and they come back to not necessarily hold you to it, but remind you said it. And it's always very critical to keep that consistent messaging and all of those things. So I'll call it mobilization, but you're now entering the property or the right of way of the customer. What are your most critical items for getting to the project and getting underway?
Most critical item is having a clear understanding of the plan. You're showing up to the site. The road to completion is clear for everybody at PowerNorth, whether you're an apprentice, starting your career in the line trade, or you're the guy in the back office who was developing the tender. The path to the end of the project is clear for everybody, and making sure that we're all aligned on that path is critical. Things like, establishing adequate communications in remote areas, having a proper site office and facility set up for all the crews. All of those things become critical in our ability to execute. Often having kickoff meetings jointly with the customer so that we can all roll through the initial start of the project while we're sitting there physically on the project site, staring at the task before us, essentially. Any unique customer documentation that's going to be completed throughout the course of the project that would be above and beyond the typical PowerNorth items that we're asking the crews to complete, those things are all reviewed at that time. Really taking the time to make sure that everybody truly understands the end goal and not rushing into anything blindly just to try to get the work done. I can think of a time recently that we just started an energized rebuild of a 44 kV circuit for a customer. We took the full first day on the project to invite the client out to site with us, and we had a full review of our pre-construction, pre-award hazard assessment for the entirety of the project, and really dive deep into those details and generating good conversation at all levels of the crew, some of which have never seen an energized pole set before, and others who have been doing it for 40 plus years. So really taking the time to make sure that those details are ironed out first and foremost.
What a nice, unique approach to, one, initializing the customer confidence in your group and probably creating a relationship with them for working day to day and seeing each other eye to eye, and probably picked up a few things of observation just walking through the job that probably the customer didn't know or didn't realize or forgot they hadn't done or forgot they had done. And so it's such a great opportunity that first few hours or first day to do a double check. What a great idea. So today, if your ability to communicate is not good, your efficiency in project management is very challenged. Having good IT support is one of the big items you need to operate. So having employees with good computer skills is so necessary today, but reviewing process policies, operational items are a big focus to ensure all the reporting's done, and all these things of payroll and equipment information and material inventories and project progress, health and safety records, QC, QA records, as-built details for design drawings, and so much more. The project has proceeded well, as expected, of course, due to your good planning. Everything is installed and operating. Pack up and leave, right? Probably not. Anyways, many things have to be done: customer review, final inspections, demobilization. So now you're coming to the close of the project. You need to demobilize. This is as much an effort as the work itself. Tell me a little bit about all the major items and hurdles that you need to worry about in order to be done and completed a project and close it out.
I mean, document closeout is the first one that comes to mind. PowerNorth maintains and operates a high-level quality management system, second to none, I would say. And ultimately, that system is implemented from day one, and it lives and breathes on that project until completion. That system allows us to maintain live records of all construction activities throughout the life cycle of that project. It's critical in turning things over at the end. Providing those adequate records at the end of the project to a client who may or may not be familiar with the type of work that we're performing just provides a good sense of transparency to everybody that the job was constructed in a fashion of high quality and in alignment with any designs and applicable standards that applied to it. Performing the walkdowns in a well-coordinated fashion so that we can generate any punch lists or any deficiency lists that may or may not exist on the project, ensuring that is scheduled appropriately when we still have crews on site and in the area, so that if there are any concerns or are any other items that require a second look, we have the resources still there on site ready to rectify the problem on behalf of the client. Those are really the main things. I mean, coming through and creating red lines or as-built drawings for any field modifications that may have been required and able to execute the design or able to complete the install in real field conditions. Those things support kind of the closeout of the project and are handled kind of off-site back office.
This is a great example of some of the things we've talked about earlier in previous episodes. And one of the biggest items I always like is the customer survey and the opportunities for improvement. And we talked back a couple of episodes ago with Mike Doherty about what a learning organization is. And PowerNorth is always striving to be better. And that's one of the things I've always observed about the things that yourself and Nick do. What kind of things do you do to keep the customers' want and need for your services?
Immediately upon completion, we'll send a customer survey out. We strive on continuous improvement. We want to always be bettering our systems. We look forward to the good and the bad feedback equally. Any, negative or not great feedback or things that we can do better, we really hone in on those things on any kind of customer survey that we would get back, and we take them very seriously to make sure that we improve our systems and able to deliver at the highest standard that we possibly can. Often having closeout meetings with the clients, it allows a fantastic opportunity for everybody to sort of run through the whole life cycle of the project and discuss any pain points that may or may not have existed throughout the construction of the project. It also allows PowerNorth to offer suggestions on how we may be able to help execute future projects that they may have in order to eliminate any pain points for them. Providing a different involvement model for pre-tendering work, allowing a contractor to be involved with the development of a project to eliminate any of the items that may cause some pain points for clients that lack some experience in the high voltage projects. More often than not, ensuring that we have those open and honest communications with the clients at the end of a project allows PowerNorth to develop and maintain long-lasting relationships with many of our customers. Oftentimes, we're reaching back out down the road to request reference letters in pursuit of other opportunities, or just provide good reference checks as we develop new projects in the future. So really making sure that everybody was comfortable, everybody was happy, and that if there were any items that caused issue or caused concern for the client, or they would have liked to see differently, that they have the opportunity to express those concerns formally to us. And I know that Nick and I are both aligned on this, that we really take it seriously. We strive to continually improve our system. We had some really good mentors back in the day, and that was the way that they operated, and that is really truly one of the foundational items that we hold close.
It's exciting to see what PowerNorth is doing and the industry customers utilizing your services. I know you guys have a logo, powering the North and powering the future, and I think you guys are the future of the business in that you've taken lessons learned and brought them forward to new, innovative, and current items. I mean, the way that things were done 10 years ago, 20 years ago are just different now, and the manner in which things are done are very different. So, it's also great to see the relationships with subcontractors, service providers, engineering, and suppliers grow at a fast rate. The engineering contractor relationship is so critical in any project, whether they're the owner's engineer or your own. As far as I see, you are the future of powering the North. So give us a few closing words. Let us know what you feel you want to leave us to think about.
Well, first, I think I'd like to say just thank you very much for having me on the show. I really appreciated our time talking today a little bit about the execution and sort of the life cycle of a typical power project for us. And I appreciate your words about our potential future powering the North. We look forward to doing so. You hit the nail on the head through the course of the conversation today with a lot of the topics. Maintaining good relationships with your engineering partners, your subcontractors, any community or client stakeholders involved, that is just key. Ultimately, we're here to serve a purpose, to execute projects for them and help them reach their end goal, and really building those long-lasting relationships and having a little bit of fun along the way doing so is the key to our success.
That's for sure. I think the last one's a big one. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, you better get out of it. I hear it in the networks we're in. I know in talking, especially in a lot of the Indigenous customers you've got, talking to Pat Chilton, CEO of Five Nations, he often bugs me. He goes, no matter what we're doing, can we make sure PowerNorth is included? So it's always a good one to hear your customers going, bring them along, we need them. And that's a good status. So your organization is definitely one of the shining stars in the industry. And Brendon, thank you for joining me today to have a chat about things that are going on. And there is a lot to digest, and we'll keep chatting about them. In my next episode, we're going to discuss going electric with Rob McNeil, president of Composite Power. Rob's been a good friend for many years and will provide a great perspective on what he sees are the trends in the future in electrical and utility industry. And we might even turn it into a bit of a panel. There might be a couple of guests arriving. We'll see how it goes, but that one could be very interesting. Anyways, thanks very much. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to this episode of Powerful Connections. Get in touch with me on my website at dgg5advising.com or find me on LinkedIn at Dean G. Gation. See you on the next episode.